Hello there everybody, welcome back to episode 9 of my tutorial series for Songs of SYX version 66. Today is finally the day. I hope we're going to break through the many hurdles of the alcohol production today. I have taken the liberty to spin the wheel of time a little bit ahead between this and the previous episode, so we are now a very happy town, mostly because riches are accumulating and the roads are and the lighting are still spreading happiness, as you see there. Now, we have unlocked in the last episode the charcoaling technology and the brewing technology. I mean, in the rough basics, we have pretty much everything we require already together. I'm pretty sure that many of you will now already know how things will work out, but since it's all quite a lengthy process, I'm going to guide you through everything, just in case. Now, we got the charcoaler building, which is just the same old building thing as we have seen many times ago. It converts wood into charcoal, and it is a really to coal, not charcoal. Sorry, don't want to give you the impression that there are two distinct things. No, coal is coal. There's no difference between one coal, the mined coal, and the processed one here. We are going to go for the same procedures as we always do, the auxiliary kilns, the storage. Everything is pretty same old here. I don't think I want to have the storage that small here, so we're going to pluck it on the wall and slam in the auxiliary kiln into the front like that. I think this should work. We'll see. Efficiency in these buildings, like I say many a times, is not necessarily my biggest strength. I'm very sorry. So we are currently only getting a net income of 10 wood. That is not really enough. Is it 10? No, 29, whatever. We need more than that, because we have now a building at our hands that's going to transform wood into other fuel. I mean, this also does reduce our pressure on the bakeries, as we are going to be able now to put that stuff, put the bakeries, put up the bakeries with coal now. Sometimes my English is just leaving me alone. So we have here the opportunity to upgrade our warehouses. I will do that as this is only costing us a little bit of furniture, and it increases the stockpile capacity of the warehouse immensely, allowing me to lower the amount of wood we're storing here by not really losing any capacity. By all means, we still have double as much storage capacity as before, and we're going to open up coal as a stockpiled resource here, because it's just handy to have it here. I really feel like small warehouses have their advantages. I still haven't wrapped my head around the question which version I do like more. Logistics in this game is its own type of beast. Seriously, there is, after I don't know how many hours, I'm somewhere in the triple digits, 100, between 200 and 300 or somewhere, and I still keep constantly learning new things about the logistics things. Little things that you can learn, that you can use to make things better, and I'm trying to transport as many of these to you as I can. But yeah, this game is insanely deep and complex. We got now a ever-increasing amount of people wanting and trying to get access to our city. This is because we are overproducing clothing very nicely. We have a broad supply of services. Our environment is nice and accustoms humans well. And as of late, we are even racking up riches that make people happy as well. By the way, this riches happiness is, well, very present on every culture. As you see here, everybody loves a full wallet. So that also means if you now lean on this happiness boost too much and you lose all your money all of a sudden, your people will go unhappy again. So these are the many little things where where Songs of Six can suddenly twist your leg, and you gotta be really, really careful with these things. So, authorizing a couple of workers extra here to get the ball rolling. I also upped the production of bread a little bit, because we are getting closer and closer to a equilibrium between production and consumption rate. That is something we should take care about at some point, as our pasture is working at full capacity, and this grain farm here is not necessarily getting any extra benefits by running longer. No, not at all. The charcoal is ready. As you can see here, we can work a little bit with that. We are not going to provide 218 pieces of wood per day, obviously. So we currently have a net income of 98 pieces of wood per day, so let's let this wrong number trickle away for a second so we can calculate properly. First of all, we got a net gain of plus 60 wood per day. Let's see if we can crank up those numbers a little bit more. And you can already see that this is a very, very labor-intense business. We also need to stockpile a little bit of timber extra up. Never run empty on timber. You don't want to. I even employ a couple of odd jobbers now to fell me some trees to make sure that this number doesn't plummet to 0 before I employ anybody on the charcoal front. Because it's way too dangerous to let your gears run empty, so to speak. This is one of the most important resources in the game to stockpile into larger amounts, and don't you dare to drop down on 0. The next winter will probably kill people. I mean, with the current situation, with all the clothing I got, we're probably better off than usual, but, well, just in case. Just in case. Alright, now we can also check out how many of these charcoalers we want to put up. Let's put up 5 of these bad boys into business. And let's see how much of a pressure this puts up onto our wood production. We have a drain of minus 40, which is quite a lot, but it is, I think, bearable. We still have the issue that our housing eats up a bit of timber every now and then, but I think we can safely stomach that for now. Speaking about stomaching, let's keep an eye out for our production and consumption rate, but things are still looking quite dandy on this end. So the next leap that we have to take is that we need to build a distillery, a brewery, and man the grain farm at the same time. So we're going to pick up all of them people. Yay, we are now eligible to put up nobles. Wonderful. One thing at a time. Not today. And we have now a nice workforce. We're also very close to our limits. What we're going to do next is we're going to employ those 21 farmers onto the grain farm now to make sure that things are working out as intended. I don't know why you guys are starving to death. Probably some old foraging job? Well, they come from somewhere from map's end, and I don't know why, but that's the reason why they are starving. Well, now. Since food is available, I don't mind, and I don't worry. Okay, with all that stuff being set up, we can now finally proceed to build a brewery. I can't believe it. So let's set up the building here in between there. I'll leave up some room for the road. And you might already have noticed I have I love this format of rooms. Feel free to find your own personal favorite. There is no golden rule, except for every 4 squares you need a pillar to stabilize your building. That's the only golden rule I know of. Okay, let's drop down the kettles. And this building quickly looks very similar to the charcoaler. That's because there is a very similar layout at work. And we're going to put the... Oh, gosh. I did it again! So we're going to make the bigger storage in the backyard. Can I actually set up something like this? No, we can't. Okay. Here we go. Bit of a larger building would have been better at that end. Okay. Let's do this like that. We almost are at maximum efficiency. Yeah, it has to be that large kettle. Okay. The brewery, as you can see, is a quite sophisticated building, needing two already pretty refined resources to get constructed. This makes booze in general a fool's errand to be built too early in the game. We are barely at the point where it pays off, but with all the grain overproduction that we're heading towards with all the pottery that we got running, I think we're gonna be off well at this end. So we got a plus 20 in terms of coal production. So, oh, we need to research that first. The equation here is that these ovens also produce faster, if I remember correctly, unless something has been changed. Let's check back with that here. Coal-fired ovens operate with less fuel, not more efficient in use of grain. It produces batches faster, so here we go. We're going to go today over not too much new technology. I want to focus my efforts mostly into the construction of the tavern. And we kill two birds with one stone here. As soon as the grain farm number 2 kicks into full production, our grain numbers will be quite stupid. That means we can eventually just crank up the number of bakers to crank up the number of food. And that is exactly where I want to be at with this whole thing. So let's set up the... here we have the upgrade already running. Perfect. We will also set up a hauler for grain in front of the bakery. Let's do that right away. It's just quite simple that bakeries have a tendency to run out of gear, material to work with, and since the bakers have to get the material by themselves from the closest drop-off space, it pays off massively to have haulers like this. Let's drop a pull order from this warehouse just in case. And now the bakers will be constantly supplied by grain that is directly in front of their workshop. When your bakery is on low pressure, it does not really pay off to install haulers like I did here, as you won't have the necessary pressure on your workforce to actually accommodate that. You don't need it. Your workshop won't run faster only because you do so. That's the gist of it. Alright. The farm did yield a little bit of a harvest this year. Almost nothing. So that is exactly as I have expected it. We're just going to clank in 2 more bakers into the bakery. And as you can see here, we're perfectly increasing our production rates at that end. And at the same time, our city is growing happier and happier, mostly because of the amount of money flowing into our banks, obviously. I don't mind. Here you can also see the power of imports. Here we also see that we don't have enough pottery in the production, but since we have more than enough clay, here we can clearly see how we can work. I really like this. This is a very, very big upgrade in V66. Never has been that easy to keep an eye on your stockpiles and your consumption rates. So something is amiss here. That is the housing wood that's depleting our stockpiles here. That means we need to crank up our woodcutter numbers eventually. As you see, Songs of Six always keeps tugging at you with something else, which is really good because city builders that don't do so grow insanely boring in the shortest amount of time. We are going to ignore the slaver for another time. I'm going to explain the topic of slaves, of course, as well, eventually. But there has been a quite smart commenter asking recently why I'm not touching the whole slavery topic earlier, because slaves are darn useful. It's because it's not my playstyle. It is right. You can start off with slavery in SYX way earlier, but, well, it's the content creator to blame. You have to write him a letter or something like that. Maybe he'll listen to you. He doesn't listen to me, that's for sure. Jokes aside, I'm going to cover that topic, but I usually run slave-free cities, even though it would be mechanically more powerful to rely on slavery. But, well, it's a sandbox city builder. You can go as you please. Now, we got the brewery up and running. And now let's check this. So you have both of these recipes, so you can either make this happen with grain or with fruit. So we could have easily just set up a fruit farm instead of a grain farm. I didn't do so mostly because humans have no particular love for fruit, and they have a love for bread. So with this concoction of job combinations here, I have way better access to their favorite food. While the other way around, I would have access to a food they don't particularly, they're not particularly interested in. So that's the thought process behind that. We're going to upgrade now our stockpiles to first, for the first time ever, feature booze. There we go. It's a piddly production at this point, and we have to carefully balance it out to our, mostly to our pottery and coal production. The grain production, it's not going to hurt too much, and yeah, here we get now extorted by our neighbors. I recommend to fulfill these requests if you can, as you want to trade with these guys. You are somewhat reliant on them, and the occasional extortion is just something we have to deal with, eh? Let's build a few more houses, as housing is declining. And yet still, we're still cutting a lot of trees manually. But it is what it is, my friends. So from this point on, our taverns should actually start providing service. Well, as soon as the production of booze is fully happening. Let's check back. We have a production of 8 pieces of pottery per day, and every worker consumes roughly a piece of pottery per day. So we're going to employ 6 workers for now. Let's see. All our productions are able to withstand that kind of pull. It's a very slow amount of production there for now, but we have to start somewhere. I always recommend starting slow, as you really have all the time in the world to crank up your production rates. While it is really hard to maintain something when you grew too fast, but that's a constant sentiment of mine with this game. Alright. Let's check back with this farm. This farm will produce in this year for the first time roughly 90 pieces of grain a day. So we're going to be very rich grain-wise. Let's see what we can do tech-wise now. At this point, I will now upgrade the... Where is it? Oh, this tech tree is always shifting. Ah, here. I'm going to upgrade the bakery specialization. It's a small increase of productivity, but I want those coal-fired ovens as soon as I can, as this will slow the drain on my wood a little bit, as we are going to focus the wood consumption then into the charcoalers and use a more unified fuel source. As I personally love to have coal as my universal fuel source in the game, So I personally think this is much more efficient. So, let's see. Food stall happiness is going downwards. Interesting. So here what's happening is that we obviously don't have enough food stall for our city. So left shift click that. I presume that we need to install another version of that over here. At some point your people realize that they need more than you give them. At the same time you see that the booze is being picked up and being depleted at the same time, immediately. Where does it evaporate towards to? Well, one of the most nasty tasks in Songs of SYX is balancing out the income of booze to get enough of it to start stockpiling it. But you eventually get there. It is a very, very important step to get there. So don't give up. As, again, we need that later down the road for our military. Here we have it again. Our military will need that as a supply. And, well, that means we'll have to work hard on that end. So, for some reason, our pottery is not pottering hard enough. So, we need to crank up the numbers here as well. Authorize a few more workers. These days, though, this is a very, very fickle thing, as you see there. We have, here. Okay. We have the harvest in, never mind. We now have more than enough for our production. But you see there, we will need way more. We only have a net positive of 41. So, well, just a few more bakers. Let's fast forward that a little bit. And that net plus is already almost used up. It's how brutal it is. Here we have to work with research to eventually get over this this road bump. As you can see here, the edible crop optimization is a very, very cheap tech, only costing us 75 knowledge to bump up our numbers quite substantially. We can also increase grain farming bonus directly, but for now we're just going to amp it up here, as it is just a cheaper way of getting that 0.10 points of bonus. Alright, with these numbers under our belt, we're going to see that we'll have a lot more grain available, and at the same time we'll also see now a lot more bread available. It's now very important that we just keep balancing out things. Let's see, services, yeah, the food stalls happiness is going up again. And I have that tavern on auto-employ, yet the booze is instantaneously evaporating. Okay. Yeah. And the food stall is... So I don't know what exactly happened there. For a short moment, yeah, there were too many people flocking to the food stall, and then it was completely overburdened. That's what happened. So it's probably a smart choice to have a second one to catch that extra capacity request. So let's authorize more people. Oh, what did I click there? Oh, yeah, we should totally pay our extortion fee. The thing is, these extortion fees, they aren't as bad as they seem. They just pressure you for some money and or for some resources, and usually that ain't much of a big deal. So what do we have here? Unavailable pottery is a constant issue, so that is something that holds us back. As you can see here now, well, it's a pain. It's a very, very work-intense industry, like I said before. Especially since there is now also a pretty huge chunk of logistics involved. We have now more labor at our hands than ever. but at the same time, getting a booze production running, this is pretty good, as you will have a massive bump up in happiness for the people there. But for starters now, we are not getting anything here. That's crazy. It's my first time with alcohol on V66. It's always been a real hustle and bustle to get the ball rolling. But yeah. In situations like these, keep an eye out on your workshops and check out if they get any red flags, and check on out if they have any other shortages. So here we see that the main shortage is pottery. Pottery is going to be transported from this warehouse to the workshop, so certainly the distance is not the issue at hand. I dare say here it is just the work speed gimping us, so we'll have to just put more pottery workers in there until this eventually just evens out. As long as there are no red flags popping up on your workshops, your logistics are running fine. But seriously, I can't overemphasize it enough. Keep double and triple checking your logistics. You will run into such terrible problems if you don't. So, just as something that has happened to me once or twice, alright? It's not that I keep saying that out of the blue. Alright. I also feel like it is time for a second pasture. Meat is a very, very desired food for our species, so we're just going to set up a new pasture here. We have plenty of workers available at our hand. Our stockpiles are steadily plummeting, and therefore I think it's going to be an excellent choice to just go for it for the time being. The brewery still suffers from a constant lack of pottery, so let's see, it's either that horrible placement of the stockpiles, or we need to set up a hauler that just brings pottery to the place. Some industries are just, I don't know, quite dumb, so you just have to help them by placing a hauler, for example, directly into the doorstep. This is a new trick that I haven't seen before, and I really love it. So, pull limit, it's okay, and wait a sec. I frankly quite don't get why, Well, let's see if it balances out. Ah yeah, they got the pottery now in front of the door. Perfect. So, let's see what that'll change. First of all, we see no more yellow flags popping up. And there you can see adding in one tiny worker can sometimes just change everything. Alright, we're going to bring up 20 more people. We need to bring up more housing as we do here. Increase the number of Entelodon herders. Let's use this one here. So, after all the talk that I've led, I've come to the conclusion that, for the time being, longhouses have been overlooked balancing-wise, and they are how to call it? Unfairly powerful compared to all the other housing units. So use it as it is that thing. I strongly think that starting from the next version, this won't be a thing anymore. I know the dev of this game well enough to have that feeling in my guts that there is a long-term solution in the making. It's just not done yet. A first crime has been committed. Perfect timing, because I meant to do crime fighting in the next episode anyways. So my good friends, that's the end for today. We do not really have any service on the booze as of yet. Let's see, maybe. I really don't know why nothing lands at the tavern. I do know that people love to drink the... Ah, yeah, here. That's what's happening. They're drinking it directly. You see, there has to be enough alcohol in the town for everybody to have their rations before the stuff goes into the taverns. I don't know if this is really intended behavior, but either way, having a booze production is making your city happy. End of the line. Thanks for watching, everybody. Drop me your comments down below, leave me a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and next episode we're going to touch the law. We're going to build whatever we need to make our people a little bit more lawful, and yeah. I'll see what next topic we're going to go for after that. See you all next time, and bye-bye.